Amen. Amen. I don't know about you, but I'm excited about the things that I know God is doing. Do I have anybody excited besides me about what God is getting ready to do in your life? We are at the best of time because we have to understand. I was sharing with the armor bearers this morning. We have been placed on God's calendar for such a time as this. I was reading in Genesis, early Genesis, where we were speaking about God was allowing people to live 890 years, 1,000 years, and Methuselah lived so many years, and people was having children at 600, 700 years. But then because man became wicked in the sight of God, Genesis around probably around chapter 6 or so, God said that man life expectancy would be 120 years, which would equate to much significant. It became almost a tithe of 10% of what was. And so man became to a point to only live 120 years. And so when God got ready to do something great and spectacular, he chose one individual named Moses. It was not important for Moses to be born at the time of early because he was to be a deliverer. When you start dealing with what God is about to do in your life, you was picked out for this particular time, for this particular calendar, for this particular dispensation, because God got something for you. When you start looking at Moses' life, Moses spent 40 years in Pharaoh's house. Moses spent 40 years on the backside of the mountain dealing with God. Then Moses spent 40 years in the process of delivering the people to the land of Canaan. When you deal with that, that's 40, 80, 120 years. God fulfilled his purpose with him, which means whenever Moses got ready to deliver the people, you got to realize those people that were born in year one of that 400 years, God said, Abraham, your children should be, your seed, he said, look up at the sky, many stars you see, that should be as your descendant. And told him to look down on the seashore, and he said, the sand, if you could count it, that would be as your descendant. And he said, but your seed, your children should be in a land that's not theirs. They're going to be in bondage for 400 years. And afterwards, they shall come out with great substance. Look at somebody and say, great substance. Somebody say, my latter years. So you got to realize at the end of the process, they came out with great substance. And so those that was born, the first part, and they was 120 years and died, they could have prayed, they could have sung Kumbaya, but nothing was going to change. The second stage, those that lived and were going to be up to 240 years, they could have did the same thing and nothing would change. But until God got to a place to say, now the 400-year process is up, Moses, here you come. Moses came forth in the process of time to do what God designed for him to do. And so that means all the stuff in the past didn't matter. Look at somebody and say, everything in my past, it don't matter now. And so what you have to look at, God prepared a way for a certain date on his calendar for things to change the whole course of the nation, the whole course of the world, because one person showed up. I need somebody to get excited and say, I'm the one. You don't know that God may have you on his calendar to show up at such a time as this. And guess what? For 40 years, Moses didn't even know why he was existing. All he thought he was the son of Pharaoh's daughter. And then all of a sudden, whenever God got ready to shift him, God got a way of shifting you, and it'll mess your mind up. God shifted him onto the backside of the mountain where he began to get a relationship with God, and he was there for 40 years. Why 40 years? Well, he was in the mindset of Pharaoh, which represents world, and he was 40 years in world. Then all of a sudden he come on God's side, and he was 40 years there. Because you got to realize, if it took you 40 years of being messed up, sometimes it's going to take you that much time to get some stuff straight, because you just don't change overnight. And so now in the process of this, he's there, and God is getting ready to do something spectacular that's going to change the face of the world. And then here's what God do. He put you out in front of a people that don't receive you. He put you out in front of a people. You're the deliverer, but they don't see you as a deliverer. They see you as one of them. But you need to tell somebody, don't look at me that way. You don't know what I possess. We're going to start with this area of Genesis 8:1, and it reads, "And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the water assuaged." Our title of this message today would be, "My blessing is based on me." I need somebody to look at your neighbor and say, "Neighbor, your blessing is blessed on you, is based on you." See, there are some things that God is getting ready to do in the earth realm, and it's getting ready to release some things in your life. It's getting ready to move some things in your atmosphere, and business is not going to be the same as usual. You're getting ready to have dreams and vision. You're living in the time of Joel, where he said, "At the end time I pour my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men dream dreams. Your young men have vision." And so what God is getting ready to do, this is getting ready to be 2020, the year of vision. This is getting ready to be where you see things clear. You're going to wake up and not be able to rest. I could not rest. I was like the song, I didn't sleep at all last night. I got in and I began to start dealing with the area of the word early. And then come about 1 a.m., I'm still dealing with this area of word. At 3, I try to put it down, but it got a hold of. Anybody ever had where the word get a hold of you and you just can't shake it? You can't let it go because God is speaking to you, the oracles of God. One thing that I've discovered, when you start speaking of the oracles of God, that means that the world got this thing twisted, because when you say oracles, that means that you are the medium between God and man. In other words, you are caught between the atmosphere. When you speak of mediums, most people think of witchcraft. They think of Sister Ann and Sister Mary, Uncle Buzzard, and all Dr. Do this and all that. Well, because most mediums do stuff such as witchcraft and soothsaying, but mediums was direct oracles. They was a voice of God that God would speak to man, and man would speak to you. And whenever you would get the oracles of God, it means that God would give you a word, but you had to be creative in your creativity to write the vision and make it plain and be able to say, "God, give me vision." Not just vision for my church, but vision for my house. Not just vision for my house, but vision for my entrepreneurship. Not just vision for my entrepreneurship, but vision that's going to take my children and my children and my children's children into a higher destiny. I'm here to tell you that God is getting ready to give you vision that's getting ready to blow your everlasting mind. This is getting ready to be the year of oracles, that God going to speak into your womb, and you getting ready to produce something that eyes have not seen, the ears have not heard. You're getting ready to recognize that it's not going to be business as usual. Sarah, God is getting ready to hit you in your dead womb. The dust is getting ready to get scattered, and you're getting ready to conceive a vision. You're getting ready to conceive something that's getting ready to put you in your wealthy and your blessed place, and you're getting ready to be able to get to the place of joy unspeakable and full of glory. See, one thing about it, you're getting ready to change your high for his joy. You're getting ready to do an exchange. God is getting ready to do something in the earth realm, and I'm so excited about it until it got me to a point to understand why I've been in a place of stagnation, why I've been in a place of hovering. Because, see, the thing about it is, one thing we got to do is just take a moment. Can I stop for a moment and thank God for bringing us through the storm? Because you got to realize that we just came through something that lots of people did. You had an area of a hurricane, a category 5, that's hover over a place and wouldn't move but 1 mile per hour. You need to give God praise that the storm you've been through at least been going. And before you can tell when you about, see, it's two things to understand with a storm. It's always calm before the storm, but you can tell when you're coming out, because it'll get calm after the storm. Some of you been going through a storm, but the calm is getting ready to come. You're getting ready to, you're going to be right nervous because you're going to be having days that you ain't having hell. You're getting ready to get right nervous because things going to start happening that you haven't, you've been so used to trauma. You've been so used to traumas. You've been so used to problems until you're going to be like, you're not going to understand that God have just put you into something greater. I went Friday to go pick up a client, and the client was in Alamance County Jail, and he had been there for 3 months. And when he came out the jail, after they came, they released him into my care. I post bond and got him in my care, and all of a sudden, when he walked out the door, he did this. Because he had just came out of a bondage, just came into an atmosphere of freedom, And he looking around. And all he could do at that moment, now here goes somebody, he said, He said, are you going to feed me? I said, you just ate, they said. He said, but I hadn't been eating what I've been wanting to eat. God is getting ready to give you what you getting ready to get loose. There was a song that said, I feel like busting loose. I'm getting ready to tell you, God is getting ready to give you a next dimension level. And because we got in the car, I had already told the person I told his caseworker, and I told the guardian, I said, there's something that always happen whenever I come in contact with certain people. I said, and I have to make it known all the time that no, you can't call me daddy. You can't call me dad because it's not professional. I said, but after they second cry saying it, I tell them, look, you're not supposed to, but guess what? It don't mean I'm going to rebuke you for doing it. And so in the process, it was amazing. We talked I went up there first to even see if I was going to be a match for him and he a match for me, and see if I wanted him and see if he wanted to come. And so I discovered that I was going to bring him in because he had a TBI, he had a traumatic brain injury. And see, you got to realize some of us got some TBIs because our mind ain't always thinking the way that God wants us to think, but God takes time to deal with us. And so I needed something to challenge my challenge. I needed something that I could pour in to make a difference, because when you're dealing with a lot of sane folks, sometimes you need to deal with somebody that's insane to help you become sane again. And so in the process of this, we riding and we're talking, we're riding, we're talking, and I got my music on, got my gospel, and he asked me, he said, can you take and turn to some other music for just a moment? I like gospel, but right now I want to hear something else. So I went to oldies and goodies, and he was able to hear a little. He said, can you switch to something else? So I brought him into something else, and it wasn't long before he started doing his thing. This boy got to shaking and jumping. He said, oh, I feel that right there. And so he's talking, but guess what? Just because I switched to something else didn't mean gospel still won't in the car. I had to give him something that he could relate to in order to get a conversation into him. So by the time we got halfway in, we now approaching through Sanford. We now approaching Cartridge. By the time I got to Spring Lake, he turns around. He said, can I ask you something? I said, what you want to ask me? He said, can I call you Pops? I couldn't get mad because I got anointing. I had already prophesied that when you be kind to somebody, when you be able to do things that other folks won't do, when God anointed you to go to another level, another distance. See, I didn't get him in a car and call him an inmate because I was once an inmate. Y'all fail to understand what I know how I feel to step outside. He had 3 months. I went through 3 years of hell, and I said, oh, can you smell what the rock is cooking? You need to understand